Hi students, let's review the fingerings for your first three notes on the flute, D, E flat, and F. So here we have our fingering chart. Remember that your fingering chart only shows the keys that we actually use on the flute. It doesn't show the keys that we have to skip. So for our D on our left hand, this means that we're going to use our thumb on this section of the thumb key, and then we're going to always skip that very first key. We're going to have our first finger up, but make sure it's always connected to the side of the flute like that. Then remember, we always skip this key, and then we're going to use the next two keys. So that's the ones that are here in black. Okay, so we have our thumb and our second and third fingers down for D. Our first finger is up, but still close to the key that it plays when you need it for that note. Okay, and then on our right hand, you see that all three of these keys are black. So that's the last three keys on the body of the flute. If we look for these two little tiny keys, these are called our trill keys. It's the three round keys that are right around it. So we're going to go ahead and push all three of those down for D. And then our pinky, none of the pinky keys are colored in, so our pinky is up. So here's our D. All right, and this is what it sounds like. All right, our next note is E flat. And E flat and D are very similar if you look at the fingering charts. All the notes on the left hand are the same. And the right hand only difference is now you're going to put your pinky down on the first key of your foot joint. So my foot joint looks a little bit different than yours. I have an extra key, but we both have this same key right here. It's the one closest to the body on the end of the foot joint. Okay, so I'm going to put that down for E flat. Everything else is the same as I had for D. My thumb, my two fingers here, my three fingers down here. E flat sounds like this. And then our third note here, we have F. So to play F, you notice here we have our three fingers down on our left hand and our thumb. So we're going to add that first finger down. We have our thumb, all three fingers on our left hand. On our right hand, we only have the first finger down and our pinky key. So we got our first finger down and our pinky key. Okay, here's F, and this is what it sounds like. Now, if you play and it sounds like this, don't worry, you're still playing F. You're just playing a lower version of the F. If to get the higher version of the F, put a little bit more pressure on your lips, squeeze them a little bit tighter together. Make sure that your air is aimed straight across over the flute, or even aimed up a little bit above the flute to get a higher sound to come out for that F. All right, so now that we reviewed the fingerings, let's do some finger practice. Okay, so the best way to do this is to rest the head joint on your shoulder. Okay, and when you're doing finger practice, it's important not to look at your fingers as you're trying to switch them, because we can't look at our fingers while we're playing, or you have to take your mouth away from the mouthpiece. So don't make the change without looking, and then look once you've changed. Okay, so let's start with D and just switch between D and E flat. So that's just going to be my pinky going up and down. Okay, so I've got my thumb, my two fingers here. This finger's still touching the side of the flute. My three fingers here. And then for E flat, I'm going to add the pinky. So let's say the letter names as we switch back and forth. Ready? Go. D, E flat, D, E flat. D, E flat, D, E flat. See how I'm keeping my pinky nice and close to the key? I'm not picking it way up, because then I might accidentally put it down in the wrong place if I bring it far away. Okay, keeping my fingers close to the keys. So that's a pretty easy switch. Now let's try going from D to F. So let's think about it first, what we're going to change. For F, I'm going to need to put my first finger down, and then I'm going to need to pick these two fingers up. I'm also going to need to put my pinky down. Okay, so I'm going to think about it, and I'm not going to look. I'm going to go ahead and just move my fingers without looking and then check after I'm done. Okay, so I'm thinking about picking these two up, and I'm thinking about putting this one down and my pinky down. So I'm going to switch to F. Now you can look. If all of your fingers didn't get to the right place, that's okay. Whichever one or ones didn't get to the right place, I want you to focus on those the next time. So now we're going to try to switch back. So I'm going to put these two down and pick up my pinky, and then I'm going to pick up my first finger and try to move them all at one time. Ready? And when you're ready, go ahead and switch. Good. Oh, I forgot to pick up my pinky. So next time I'm going to think about that. I'm going to focus on that a little bit more. Okay, so here I'm going to go back to F. I'm going to really think about that pinky, make sure it gets down this time. Okay, here we go. F, right? And now I'm going to go back to D, making sure I pick up my pinky, and D, and back and forth as many times. And once you can do it correctly, then that's when it's time to do it over and over again, over and over again, to really train your fingers. We call it muscle memory, so they can move on their own without you having to think so hard about it. The more you do it correctly, the faster you'll be able to do it without thinking about it. Back and forth. Okay, now let's try E flat to F. So I'm going to put my pinky down, right? Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pick up these two fingers and put this one down at the same time and flip. There we go. And now we're going to switch back, flip, and switch back and flip. Right? Remember, try not to look at your fingers as they're moving, and try to make sure that you keep them close to the keys when you're picking them up and down. So you're not searching around for the correct key. You're just thinking about the motion, up and down motion. So E flat, F, E flat to F. Right. A couple minutes a day of practicing this, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can do it and how much easier it gets. Good luck and happy practicing.